Well, we finally made it to Nassau, Bahamas. Yesterday was our travel day, and it was stressful. At the airport in a line of 15 people, we were the only ones to make it on our plane. Well, hello everyone, my name is Jordan.
And I'm Jared, and we're JJ Cruise. If you haven't subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button. We're trying to hit 5,000 subscribers here before we step foot on Adventure of the Seas.
And that's in just a couple of days.
Just in a couple of days. Also, if you think you've subscribed, please check again. YouTube has been seeing some bots and unsubscribing people, so please go ahead and check that out. Like this video and hit that notification bell.
Yes, and let's get into our travel day yesterday. It was a very, very stressful travel day, and we're just going to jump right into it. So it started at 3:30 a.m., which is when we arrived at the airport for our 6 a.m. flight. We thought we had plenty of time.
We did. We thought we had plenty of time, but when we got there, we had about 15 people, groups of people in front of us at check-in. Not a problem. In fact, usually we see more. Now, of course, this is an international check-in line. This was not just your normal check-in line, so it's a little bit different. But we thought for sure we'll have plenty of time before we have to get to security and board.
We're used to flying domestically, and so, there's those self-serve kiosks where you can check in, print your boarding pass, print your luggage tag, but like Jared said, since this was international, we had to go stand in this line.
There was one other option, which is the Verifly. If you are doing American Airlines, and maybe some other airlines doing this too, Verifly is an opportunity if you put your vaccine information in or your negative PCR test before you fly, many days before you fly, you can actually have a kiosk. However, you still have to talk to someone after you go to that kiosk.
Okay, so it was 3:30, we arrived at the airport, we get in this line, like we said, 15 people ahead of us, no big deal. The line doesn't move for what, maybe like the first half hour? We're just like standing there for 30 minutes?
It's not moving, and we're seeing the same people up at the gate, or not even the gate, just where people are talking to a representative on the other side, and nothing's happening except some angry people and some angry faces, and we are close enough that we can start overhearing what it is they're saying.
Right, so when you get up to the check-in line, they're checking things like your passport, your Bahamas visa, which everyone has to have if you're traveling to the Bahamas, as well as your vaccination card or your negative PCR test. So those are key documents that you have to have when you travel, and it seemed like people didn't have every single moving piece. Some people had incomplete Bahamas visas, some people forgot their test verification papers, and we start to see people basically get angry and then walk away from the representative that they were talking to.
There's also oversold flights as well. So there's three things: the visa, the test or vaccine card, and then of course some of these flights are just oversold and there's not enough seats. So these are three things that people were upset about at this check-in counter.
We don't know necessarily how much American has oversold these flights for, and American does oversell flights. That is a very known thing. If you're flying with American for the first time, you need to know that American does oversell these planes. And so if you do not have seats when you arrive at the airport, there is a chance that you could get turned away, and that was what was happening.
And we booked through Air2Sea, which I know many others have as well through Royal Caribbean. And so Air2Sea does prefer, it feels like, American Airlines, but they've had a lot of issues recently with American Airlines changing flights. If you're out there, you know, because you've probably been changed on multiple times like us. And so we didn't know what was going to happen. But out of those 15, we were one of the lucky few to be able to go without any issue once we got to check-in. But it took us, what, an hour?
It took us over an hour. It was close to an hour and a half by the time we moved through the line, and everyone in front of us was turned away, either because they didn't have a seat and they had oversold the flight, so they were getting bumped to the next day, which means today, or they did not complete their Bahamas visa, or they did not bring the correct paperwork. So these things are key when you are traveling right now. Depending on where you're going, different countries have different requirements, and different visas have different requirements. So you have to make sure that all of your Bahamas visa is correct and you've got all of the documents that you need in order to travel.
Be over-prepared. Print everything out.
Yes.
Do not worry. Do not rely on a digital form or anything like that. Print it out. It's worth it. And also, We recommend at this point to just purchase those seats. I know that they can be an extra cost, but if you are traveling same day, what a nightmare would it be if you don't get on because it's an overbooked flight.
Yeah, exactly. We did end up, for the first leg of our flight, buying seats for $14 each. I honestly think that's the whole reason we're here right now.
Reason we're here right now.
I don't think that we would have. I think because of what's happening in the world, I think that American is potentially overselling these flights by a lot. Like, I think that because there was one family of 6 people. They all got turned away because they didn't have enough seats. So, on a flight of 200 people, that's just 6. Yeah. There was a lot of other people in this line. Specifically a lot of couples. I know that we said there was 15 groups. That's what we counted.
Yeah.
Probably close to 35 people in total that did not get on our plane. And when we got on our plane, it was packed and every seat was full. So American is potentially overselling these flights by maybe 25-30%, which is intense.
Yeah, of course, we don't know if this is for every flight out there, but we traveled on a Wednesday. I can only imagine what it will be like on a Friday or Saturday when most of you will be traveling. Once we got to Miami, which is where our middle point was of coming all the way to the Bahamas, we did not buy seats for what I would call a puddle jumper plane. And we were nervous. After that, we were very nervous we weren't going to get those seats. Luckily enough, we went up to the gate agent right when we got there. But we did get seats, and we were actually upgraded, which was great. So there is a pro-con here. You could get upgraded if you don't purchase seats, or you could get denied access and have to wait a whole nother day. So on that last leg of the flight, we did get an actual travel card for the Bahamas that you always have to fill out going anywhere internationally, that tells you where you're coming from, where you're staying, how long of stay. Very normal for travel, so we did get that.
Yep, once we landed in the Bahamas, we filled out that customs paperwork. We talked to the agent. They asked us basically just the purpose of our trip. We told them that we're here for vacation and we're taking a cruise.
And that was it.
Then we walked through, we got our luggage. There's a second, actually, customs checkpoint with your luggage where they, again, will ask you potentially where you're going. I think at that point they can inspect your luggage, and they do random checks, which is normal.
They asked us just, what are we doing here? And we
just
said
our
vacation,
plans.
and we went through the second time. But others, they asked, if you had alcohol or if you're bringing anything with you, and they can check at any time. But
yeah,
that was our travel.
And make sure to always check and see what is allowed and is not allowed in certain countries. At the Bahamas, you are allowed to bring things like alcohol, wine, cigars, cigarettes, but there is a limit on what you can bring through.
And a key point here, we already talked about this once, but needing the Bahamas visa, you will need that multiple times later, as well as your vaccine card and your negative test.
Just to clarify, vaccine card or negative test.
Right.
It's one or the other. There's a lot of questions I think of, do I need both? Right now you do not. It could change in the future, but right now you just need one or the other.
Yes.
But like Jared said, print out your Bahamas visa because you do show it over and over again. Even the very first American Airlines representative that we talked to in Chicago, they were like, all right, put that away. You're not going to need it again for a while. Nope, that was not the case. We had to show it, I think, again at the gate. We had to show it when we were in Miami. Then we had to show it 2 different times once we landed in the Bahamas. So, and our vaccine cards, yes. We had to show at all of those places, and then we had to show it as well to even get into our resort. So keep those things all handy and on you along with your passport, because you will have to show them over and over and over again. And if you're going on the Royal Caribbean Adventure of the Seas down here, you're gonna have to show it, there as well once we get there on Saturday.
So after we got through customs, what did we do next? We did not plan for a shuttle with our resort. We're staying at Atlantis Bahamas. We did not plan for that. So we went up to the desk for Atlantis Bahamas and asked if there was anything complimentary.
There, of course, was not.
No, there was not.
So then we had to figure out what was next. And they were actually really helpful. They told us that there's multiple options in terms of transit. So there was a taxi, which is your standard taxi, a town car, a bus, or a limo. Being the budget travelers that we are, we chose to go with the most economical option, which was the taxi.
The taxi was $38. I believe the town car and the others were a little bit higher, maybe $55 or $65. There was additional fees, though, with the taxi, and we assumed there would be additional fees with some of the other ones. We didn't get into that. But with the taxi, there was additional fees.
They do charge you per piece of luggage that you bring in. And one thing that we do want to call out is make sure to bring cash if you are going to Paradise Island, because getting onto Paradise Island, there is a toll bridge that does cost $2, and they do make you pay that in cash. So at least bring $2 cash.
I would say bring more than that.
Yeah.
Because honestly, everyone respects cash, right? Cash is king. And it's just a better way to travel and make sure that you're prepared.
Yeah, absolutely. So after everything was said and done, by the time we got to Atlantis, we paid a little over $50, including tip for the taxi ride from the Nassau airport.
And 15% tip is what is recommended here in Nassau for your taxi.
That's a good tip.
Yeah. Let's talk about our drive here. It was a beautiful drive. If you do take a taxi or whatever you take, ask if they can go along the coast. It's a great way to go ahead and see the coast of the Bahamas, of Nassau. However, it also shows you the ship. The ship is right downtown, and if you are going to Paradise Island, you can actually get a view of the ship on your way to your resort.
It's a surprise. We weren't expecting it. We kind of came around this bend, and then there was Adventure of the Seas, and immediately that just put a smile on our faces. And I think that that's a good segue to talk about the Bahamian people here and what life has been like since the pandemic. We did ask our taxi driver, what has it been like? Because obviously, they haven't had visitors in quite a while. And, we just asked her, has it been really quiet? And her exact words were, it's been a graveyard here. She just said, we have struggled. Businesses, restaurants have closed. The island depends on the tourism industry. And so it has just been really sad here for the people on the island. But juxtaposed to what it's been like, they are so excited that tourism is coming back. I mean, you can see it in their eyes and in their faces, and every person we talk to.
They're not just saying tourism. They said they are so excited cruising is back. Every single person we have met has said, are you on the cruise ship? We can't wait for the cruise ships to be back.
Yes.
Cruising is a huge source for the economy here in the Bahamas and most islands in the Caribbean. So we felt really good coming here. We felt welcomed. They are ready for us.
And I mean, everyone from the custom agents had smiling faces. And when you go through customs, they're like, what are you here for? But they were just so excited we were here. Our taxi driver, I think one of my favorite moments from yesterday was when we pulled up to the Atlantis Resort and we had to show our vaccine cards. Our taxi driver had to have proof of a negative test. So she gets tested every week. And she goes up to the gate. And she's like, they're here for the cruise. And he was like, oh, welcome. And they were giggling. They're so excited. And I think that is just one of the really fun parts about being here early is to see that anticipation, because it's growing, and you can tell since Royal Caribbean announced this partnership with the island, they're just really, really excited that we're going to be here. I think that we're looking forward to this little party at the port that is happening on Saturday. They're throwing a big party for all of the cruisers getting on Adventure of the Seas. So hopefully we'll be able to be a part of that and see that and bring some footage from that party.
Getting here to the resort has been wonderful. It's been a great time, but these are just some tips that we want to make sure that you have while you're traveling. We highly recommend looking at your travel. See if you have seats on that plane. If you don't, weigh the benefits versus cons of maybe grabbing those seats.
Yeah, and print out all of your documents, including your visa. Make sure that your test paperwork or your vaccination card is present. Always have them ready, because you might get asked for it at a moment's notice. Yes. You can save yourself some travel time by having it prepared and out so that you can move through everything seamlessly on your day of travel.
Maybe print two. Hold a copy somewhere else on your body or something. Keep it safe because you need it.
Very true. All right, well, that is it for today. Thank you so much for joining us again. We are JJ Cruise. If you could hit that subscribe button, like this video, share it with a friend, and until next time, see ya.
Bye.